All right, good morning. Welcome in. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. SEC Insider Hit today is brought to you by Mack Hike in Flowwood. Number one selection of SUVs and trucks, including Ram trucks and Jeep Grand Cherokees. Mack Hike in Flowwood, MacHikeFlowwood.com. We welcome in Dave Bartoo, the Matrix Man, at CFB Matrix. He joins us on the Bell's Two-Hearted Ale guest line. Bartoo, LSU hires Brian Kelly from Notre Dame. Give me a grade. Do you like the hire?
Well, you know me, like, dislike. I don't like anybody. You know, I hate everybody's coaches and all your fans, especially this early in the morning. Now, if there was kind of like a draft board for coaches and a draft board for schools, that's right where you'd expect it to be. I don't think there was anything on the draft board LSU could have done in terms of risk. And, you know, they could have made some riskier moves, try to make something splashier out of it, I believe. But, you know, ultimately, this probably was the number one guy on everybody's board and the number one program looking to get somebody, gobble them up. You know, LSU is a apex predator, and they got the feet at the top rung.
All right. So you like the hire?
Yes. From a grade standpoint, Scott couldn't have done. You know, Woodward couldn't have done any better. Right. I mean, it's just in my opinion, he could not have done any better. Now we need to wait to see what the staffing is, but Brian Kelly is all part of one of the reasons he's up there is his ability to find good OCs and DCs. He cycles through a lot of guys. Okay, I mean, Tommy Reese is in his second year at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman's in his second year at Notre Dame. Maybe Reese is in his third year. They got a top 25 offense. They got a top 10 defense. They're number 5 in the country. I mean, you know, part of the reason to hire Brian Kelly is his consistency to hire other coaches. So yeah, it's just good all the way around.
Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show. I thought Billy Napier to Florida, I thought that was a damn good hire, too. How did you see it?
Best available. No question at all. No question at all. And, in fact, you know, when you look at it, the speed in which Florida moved to get that done, because that was just wham, bam, and people are going, wait a minute, LSU hasn't hired anybody. Now Florida's done. And that's probably because LSU and Brian Kelly were already locked in horns. So Napier, to me, that was the next best available guy, and bang, and there you go. And you really look at Napier, he is kind of like he's a mini me Brian Kelly. Okay, both of them actually. Napier, numbers wise, probably a better recruiter. Napier has been able to cycle through OCs and DCs very well, so he has hiring and firing experience, mostly hiring because guys that are on his staff get stolen away all the time. So the hiring piece is there, the recruiting piece is there. You know, I would say the big difference, you know, Brian Kelly's been on the big stage. You know, he's lost some big football games, and I think that's important. A lot of people say, well, he's never won it, but he's got there. That's one of the things that separates him from all the other guys. He got there. You know, it was you and I were talking about. I'll just sidetrack off Napier for a second. Remember, you and I were talking about off the air ranking these coaches, and you're like, well, where does Mario, you know, in your backyard land? And I'm like, well, Kelly has gotten there and lost, right? He's got to a big game and lost. Bob Stoops, on the flip side, has gotten to a big game, lost, and won. Mario can't even get to the big game to lose, right? So to me, when you start picking these guys apart, is you know the elite guys. To me, it's kind of like you got there and won, you got there and lost. Can you even get me there? You know, so Mario ain't even got there yet. So I don't put him anywhere near those other guys' classes. Now back to Napier, like I said, the recruiting side of it, Louisiana's recruiting is up the last 4 years, up higher than it's ever been. So he can recruit. He's recruited at Clemson and Alabama. That's probably the difference between him and Brian Kelly. he has SEC experience. He has Southeast America experience. That's really the big difference there. Kelly's been to the big game, but he hasn't been down in the SEC. So the big question here is crazy LSU going to make Brian Kelly crazy, or is super organized Brian Kelly going to make LSU super organized?
Oh,
What is the gravity here?
I love that. That's a great way to frame it up. Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show and the Bell's Two-Hearted L guest line. So Napier, damn good hire. Brian Kelly, really good hire. All right. Lincoln Riley to Southern Cal. What'd you make of it?
Could they have done better than that? Right? Could they have done better than that? I mean, excitement-wise, right? I mean,
no.
You look. Yeah, you look at Lincoln Riley, offensively awesome, right? Has he regressed a little bit in the last few years? Yeah, well, probably anybody would without NFL quarterbacks with experience in the huddle. Defense hasn't improved at all, but can recruit like hell. Young guy, and you always talk about winning the press conference. Couldn't have been a bigger hire, right? They could have hired Brian Kelly. It could have been a safer hire. It wouldn't have been as exciting as Lincoln Riley. Okay, they could have hired, let's say, a Billy Napier. Would have been a safer hire. Meh, not really. I think there's risk on both sides there, but it wouldn't have been as a big of a press conference win as that. So, I mean, you look at these first three. I don't know how you could say any of those teams could have done any better in the current circumstances.
Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show. Let's go back to coach effect. We've got listeners asking about – let's start with Billy Napier, and then we'll go with Brian Kelly. So part of your matrix, you go with TLC, talent, location, coach effect. How did Billy Napier do as far as coaching effect at ULL, Bartoo?
He was positive every year. From day one. He was positive. The guy has never had a down year. That's one of the things that is really impressive is right out of the gate. I mean, he'd never been a head coach before. I'm like, who is this guy, right? What made Maggard go out and hire this guy? Because after the first year, I'm scratching my head because the offensive scoring efficiency immediately changed. Defensive immediately changed. Everything changed. Recruiting changed. It was right now. And his coach effect, I don't know the numbers exactly off the top of my head, but I remember the first year going, who is this guy? And saying, if I ever get a chance to talk to Brian, I want to know how the hell he hired him, because he just plucked him kind of out of nowhere, at least in my opinion. So his coach effect has been positive across the board. Now, consider, though, that's at Louisiana. Right? There's a lot of opportunities in the season where you are playing somebody that out-recruited you. That's a lot different than let's say, a Brian Kelly. But when we're talking about Napier, he has, across the board, excelled the talent beyond the schedule. It's
nice.
Positive coach effect everywhere for him, yes.
Okay. So Strickland with the good hire, Woodward with the good hire. So Napier, we got plenty of time. Napier's path, Florida thinks they're what Urban Meyer bottled over 4 years, forever and ever and ever, amen. That's just how fans are anywhere. Napier's got to close the gap on the warlord of warlord mercenary recruiters in Kirby Smart. I don't think he's ever going to recruit the first or second class in the country, but maybe he does. But maybe he moves it up from Dan. You already mentioned that Dan inherited McElwain recruiting that was in the teens, and Dan had already moved that up several spots. How does Napier close the gap, other than the obvious in recruiting, Bartoo?
Right. Really what it is time. Recruiting doesn't happen overnight. One class doesn't make a national title. Right? One class doesn't entirely move the needle. I mean, Dan took over for McElwain. The 4-year average prior to Dan taking over was 17 in the country. The last 4 years for Florida, under Dan, he had moved it to number 11. Okay, but that took 4 years to do it. So, for Florida fan, number one, Florida's average class over the last 20 years is 7.98. So it's not like they are a top 5 perennial recruiter like an LSU, like a Georgia, like an Ohio State, like an Alabama. So they're really never, like you said, they're never going to break through, I believe, into that top 5 elite. Not that they need to, because Urban was able to do it without getting at that super, super crazy level, but he did have some really good classes in there. So, but ultimately what it comes down to, and this is the toughest word to say on the air for fans, is patience. Especially in this bat-esque crazy college football right now, you got to be patient with recruiting. These things and the roster management, these things don't happen overnight at all. But we'll see how Billy puts it together and be able to track what he's doing in relation to Kirby and with Saban as the years go by.
All right, Oklahoma, Notre Dame.
Welcome to the party, pal.
So now,
oh my gosh,
they're open. It looks like Miami could open any day now, but let's go with Oklahoma and Notre Dame. What are your thoughts?
Well, Notre Dame's just going to go to. Well, the funny thing is, you hear all these people saying, "Oh, all the players want Marcus Freeman." Yeah, because the players' jobs are on the line if they screw it up, right? Oh, the emotion! It makes my heart warm. Really does to see fans doing like social media polls, going, "Do you want to keep our current defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator?" I'm like, "Oh crap, dude! I wouldn't even put Freeman top 3. I'd have Fickle, Braum, and Campbell before I even hired Freeman. Are you kidding me?"
Damn.
This seems to be carbon cut for Fickle. I think you and I'd agree with that right now. And so Fickle goes to Notre Dame, and flip flop. Freeman goes back to Cincinnati, becomes head coach. Bob's your uncle. Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Right. The two guys, though, the other two guys that I mentioned, maybe worth just spot noting, is Braum's still sitting at Purdue. I think he's a hell of a talent. And Campbell's still sitting at Iowa State. And you can make an argument for either hiring one guy over the other for me. I don't think, one is better than the other, probably be depending on the situation. But I think Notre Dame is going to get it, is already done. And just waiting for Fickle to lose is some football game. Oklahoma, right? Here it is. And you can look at it, at first I was like, this is an absolute disaster. This couldn't have happened at a worse time because he's going to suck out the recruits for the entire year, probably going into next year. Who do you replace him with? There's nobody that can run his offense even close to him that you would consider available. What are you going to do, go steal his brother from Sonny at TCU? But it also got me thinking, it's like, this is actually a really good thing because Oklahoma, same as Texas, but Oklahoma in specific, needs to transition their roster to an SEC roster. Okay, no matter where Lincoln Riley was, whether USC or Oklahoma, this is something nobody is talking about. He has to redo the roster at both places. Oklahoma's not ready to go in the SEC right now. Oklahoma's ready for the Big 12. The Big 12 is the smallest per guy football conference in the Power 5. It is the smallest. It's built for speed. It's built for offense. It's built for speed on defense. It's small, man for man. It is not SEC ready. It just isn't. So you either start changing the roster now to get it ready for the SEC, or you change it later when you walk into the SEC. And my personal opinion is don't wait. Don't do it. Now, Oklahoma fans not going to want to hear, well, we're going to lose some more games as we transition to the SEC. No, whoever's here needs to carry on the legacy of Switzer and Stoops, and maybe that was one of the emotional reasons for Lincoln to get out, because he can actually go build his own legacy at USC now that it's fallen down so far. But Oklahoma, to me, if I'm Joe, take a hard think about bringing somebody in, not to carry on what's there, not somebody that fits the scheme and the defense and the offense that's there and win now and suffer later. I think it's got to be a longer vision. I think he's got to bring that guy in like a Venables that has the experience in building size in a team to win a national title. And you just let Venables know, look, you got to recruit and revamp this roster into a SEC level competition so we can physically survive it when we walk in there in 2 or 3 years. That is the direction I think they need to take advantage of while they have it.
Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show and the Bell's Two Hearted Ale guest line talking silly season and coaching searches and the carousel. New and then the openings with Notre Dame. You know, people think fickle there, and what will Oklahoma do? So if Miami opens up this week, I know,
right?
And Mario Cristobal is from there and an alum, and people seem to believe that it's Cristobal, then Lane Kiffin. When you hear that, what is your initial reaction?
Oh, he'll recruit the hell out of the place instantly. That's what he is. He's a recruiter. You know, he throws down with anybody. It's go time. That's his strength, is recruiting. His next strength is being able to hire good guys to the staff. Okay, his weakness, coaching football games. Like I said, can't get you there. I can recruit you there. I can coach you there, get the coaches, but I can't get to the big game. So Miami, can they return to national prominence with him? Brand-wise, yes. Recruiting-wise, yes. Winning big football games, no. I don't believe that would be it. But I don't think that'd be their goal right now. I think the goal would simply be to do what he did at Oregon and take a mid-teens, high 20s recruiter and turn it into a top 10 recruiter. You know, just like Billy Napier is supposed to do at Florida and Mike Norvell is supposed to do at Florida State. It's like there's only 10 top 10 recruiters. That means you got to knock these guys out. So with Mario, yeah, that would be the very, very first thing, is just the onslaught of recruiting at Miami. And I think the big question is, because that's his strength, he would demand having that available. So I believe if he did jump ship, go to Miami, it would be because he has a lot of promises from a lot of people to change the Miami behavior on how you allocate resources to build the program.
If Oregon opens up, what direct Bartoo, Oregon Duck alum? If Oregon if Cristobal takes the Miami job, where do you go if you're Oregon?
I don't know, man. I mean, I really, really don't, because there's no recruiter on the West Coast like Mario. Maybe now Lincoln. You know, Lincoln will recruit close to him, but he'd still out-recruit Lincoln. He's still a stronger recruiter. I don't know where Oregon turns. You know, I don't think there's a recruiter out there that can keep up with it like a Mario Cristobal. You know, so do you go to recruiting country? Do you go to find somebody in the Southeast that knows how to recruit with the big boys and pull them out of there?
Ed Ogeron's available.
Right. Oh man, it's like saying Voldemort. It gets me all twinsy and like, dude, how'd that guy win a national title? Freaks me out. I get PTSD every time. I still don't understand it. You know, we could do a whole show on how the hell that happened. It'd be like unsolved mysteries. I don't get it at all. So I don't know where Oregon goes, man. I mean, it's it's funny because it's not me, but you know, Oregon fan would be like, oh, we're Oregon, we can go get whatever we need. I'm like, no, you're stupid. You can't. So in the end, the emotional allure to go back to your alumni would have to be extremely strong, and I could see him doing it. I didn't see any other ADs with him on the board anyways. So I just thought he was a second-tier head coach that was a great recruiter. But that would fit at Miami right now to try to build that back up. But I got no idea where Oregon would start to try to replace that if he walked out the door.
Okay. Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show. Got about 3 or 4 minutes here. We've worked through LSU, Florida, a little bit of Notre Dame, Oklahoma. and just kind of guessing on the Miami thing. Anybody else out there, Bart? I love when you throw out Brom, because I don't think most ADs know that he's any good, because I just don't think they.
I would disagree with you based on the guys I talked to.
Oh, good.
At least I try to make people informed of it, but his name comes up as much as I bring it up. But for whatever reason, he still is just he's like Matt Campbell. He's just not.
I mean, that's a crappy job. Purdue.
Sexy. Yeah. Oh, he's done a fantastic job. One of the best recruiters of the last 4 years. You know, to win football games. He's great at identifying coaches. He's awesome. He really is. If Oklahoma went and hired him, makes sense to me. I mean, to me, that's probably when you look at everything out there. I mean, what do you have as best available? You got Campbell, Brom, Mullen. Dan doesn't have a job. You know, Virginia Tech went with the defensive coordinator. So you got three guys right there that are all good. I think Brom, I'd give him a shot. I hope he gets a shot somewhere. Mm-hmm. But that, to me, the best potential available, I'd take Brom over Campbell. I would. So we'll see. But there's really, outside of Miami, maybe Brom ends up at Oregon. Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be wild. Okay.
Right? Hey, it'd be wild, right?
Let's switch gears. Alabama, Georgia. I get the sense that you think Georgia could walk the dog on Bama on Saturday in Atlanta.
I ran the numbers. Georgia's the first team since Alabama 2000, I think it's 2009, 2007. First team that has finished first in both offensive and defensive scoring efficiencies in my numbers. It's a friggin' monster. I mean, seriously, they should just, this should be a cakewalk for them. If Kirby chokes this, all the pressure's on Georgia right now. There is not another top three offensive or defensive scoring efficiency team left contending. Not another one. And every national title winner has been a top three offensive and or defensive scoring efficiency team. They're all elite. Georgia this would be an unfathomable, unbelievable, undeniable, unparalleled choke if Kirby doesn't get this done. So, I think if Georgia can enforce their average game, their will on Alabama, it's 41-7 this Saturday. 41-7. Keep that in mind. But average scoring, I'm going Georgia 30, Alabama 17.
All right, 30-17. Bartoo
and cover.
And cover. Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, dude. We appreciate it, Wild Man. We'll talk soon.
Peace, brother. Thank you.
Dave Bartoo at CFB Matrix on Twitter. He's got the Patreon account, which is delicious, too. Speaking of, we've got the charbroiled oysters at Drago's Seafood Restaurant and Oyster Bar on the property of the Hilton Jackson, right across from the Edwin Watts Golf Shop on County Line Road. Don't forget, Apple Podcast, search the Out of Bounds Show. We had a heck of a show today. We'll see you tomorrow.